this Brad podcast, Unveiling the Truth. And it's been a dream of mine to have. And thank you for Brad for joining me. He's a trooper in all my new adventure of learning how to use it. And I have my Star Trek shirt on. I'm so sad. I might try to pop in and out, see if I can get connected. So that being said, we have a great speaker, so I don't want the time. But since most of you are new to Brad and I'd like to introduce myself as Robyn Hyatt. I am a medium and a psychic and an author and an artist and probably several other things. I like to dabble in just about everything, and life is too short not to keep learning. And I am just excited to have a new adventure, and I think I'd like to pass this over to Brad and have him introduce himself, and then I'll let Brad introduce John.
Yeah, thank you, Robyn. And unfortunately, sometimes technical difficulties whenever it's always a debut episode. Last week it was unfortunate illness. This time it's tech difficulties, but we're going to get through it. But I am Brad. Most of you know me. For those of you who don't, I'm not as pretty as Robyn, maybe not as sweet, but I certainly try. I've been a curious, wandering soul for as long as I can remember. Curiosity, libraries, books, imagination, you name it, have been my inner sanctum since day one. I've spent endless hours researching, doing homework on a myriad of topics and subject matter. For those of you who know me, that you've seen my presentations, I go pretty deep into some rabbit holes on a lot of stuff. So I spend endless hours researching, doing the homework on all that, almost to the point to where I had to stop for a while because I came close to the edge of sanity and I had to take a break. But I will tell you, the view from the edge of sanity is a pretty view, but I must warn, you need to tread carefully. When I'm not digging up many rabbit holes, I can be found wandering if this path to enlightenment and ascension, if it comes with a refund policy or not, because it's not as easy and pretty and peaceful as everybody makes it out to be. Or I think we're just here on an extended field trip for the soul. So we have on our very first episode, we decided to nerd out. One, it's Halloween. Two, in honor of our guest, who is a Trekkie. And when I say he's a Trekkie, he is a Trekkie. He's probably a biographer of every character there is on every series. He writes fan fiction to the point to where people who have read his fan fiction on Star Trek have even told him that it actually helped them save their life. So there is an impact when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's just not a bunch of nerds dressing up as Trekkies. So our guest today, Mr. John Ege, he walks a fine line between science, spirit, mystery, and meaning, and he's a fellow Texan like myself. He is the state director of MUFON and a seasoned investigator and respected expert in the study of all things UFO, UAP, and contact phenomena. He combines his research with a deep compassion for experiencers to the point, and this is how I kind of met him, to the point where he facilitates an experiencer support group for those navigating the complexities of contact, trauma, working through the paradigm shifts and things of that nature. But his work reaches beyond just field work. I mean, through his writings on consciousness and the human condition, he challenges conventional paradigms and invites us to reimagine what it truly means to be awake and alive in this universe, because that is a deep thought that you can get lost in as well. By trade, by day, his day job, he is a clinical therapist, and he's also an avid writer and published author, a very proud dad, and recently a newlywed. When he's not decoding cosmic mysteries, you'll find him writing and reading esoteric texts exploring consciousness through tulpomancy, which I never had heard of until I met John about a year ago, and we're definitely going to dive into tulpomancy tonight. So we welcome our friend, my brother from another mother, John Ege. How are you, Captain Picard?
I'm very well, thank you. You pull off the Kirk shirt very well.
You think so?
Yeah.
I need to be a little more clean shaven, though.
Fair enough. You were probably
But
left on
it'll
that
work.
planet a while.
Yeah. So, Robyn, did you want to start, or are you still in the ether somewhere, lost? Yeah. Okay.
Poor Robyn.
Yeah, I know. She'll jump in here eventually, or maybe type in the chat or something.
I think I heard her
So-
laughing.
No.
You there, Robyn?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Did you want to go ahead
Can you hear
and
me?
riff? Yes, we can.
They
You
can't
want-
hear me.
Yes, we can.
I'm here. But I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh. Okay.
I'm so sorry, Brad.
It's all right. It's all right. You're gonna have to figure it out. And do
continue
some
on.
IT. Okay. Okay. We'll just do that.
Okay, continue.
So one of the things that we wanted to bring you on and talk about, John, and I know this is one of Robyn's passions, is the concept of tulpomancy. And you had mentioned and explained it. I guess you kind of given me the elementary school version of it. And I know I'm going to butcher it, but it's in essence the way of manifesting consciously, not an imaginary friend, but almost another conscious being as a guide or spirit or something along that nature. Is that right? I mean, I know there's a lot more to it, and you're the subject matter expert. So if you could just kind of explain that a bit.
So, tulpas are technically thought forms. One of the best ways I have come to kind of compartmentalize my experience of it is to consider that your personality is an avatar. It's an avatar of mind. And so your body is an avatar for your personality, and your personality is the avatar of mind. And I'm extrapolating speculatively. I think soul operates mind, and so mind is the avatar for soul, and so it's kind of layered, nested layer. The first time I heard about this was in a book, Dark Pool of Light. I can't remember the full title, and at the moment I can't get the name of the author out of my head, but it sent me on it introduced the word tulpa. I went on a exploration, and I found this book called Mystery and Magic in Tibet, and Alexandra David Neal was the first female anthropologist that was allowed to go to Tibet and meet the Dalai Lama. And the Tibetan monks have this practice called, they create tulpas. Usually they create tulpas to help them overcome an obstacle or a fear. So if you're afraid of spiders, you imagine you have spiders crawling all over you. And when you master not being afraid of spiders, you make them go away. She asked, "Can you do a person?" And they said, "Well, yeah, that's pretty easy, and but we don't recommend you do it." Well, she didn't listen. She created a Friar Tuck tulpa. Essentially, she meditated on the form of this Friar Tuck with such intensity and such duration that it ceased to be an imaginary character. It came to life in her head. Anything you do frequently enough and intensely enough, you master. Like riding a bike. So if you think about a thing enough, your brain gets tired of thinking about it and shoves it down into the subconscious, and the subconscious automates it. You don't have to think about it anymore because the subconscious is on autopilot running that program. And so your personality is a program of the subconscious. So is this other personality. There are other people who have done this. I think the invisible counselor technique by Napoleon Hill, which you'll find in Think and Grow Rich, is the same technique. Carl Jung, with his active imagination, I think is the same technique. And so my primary tulpa, who is Loxie Isadora Bliss, to me is the equivalent of Philemon to Carl Jung, who you can read about in the Red Book.
In the Red Book, yeah, the Liber, yep. So would you say that, I mean, to many materialists today in modern psychology or even spirituality, some might say, well, you're really going deep with creating a friend or a guide, to the point to where you believe the non-existent. However, the concept of tapping into the conscious, even subconscious, to where it manifests in your mind as a living, breathing entity that communicates with you. Is that what I guess a modernist, say, if you went to a shrink's office, might say you're suffering from psychosis?
Funny, because that's actually my job.
Well, I know you're a diagnostician and a clinical therapist. So, I mean, I'm sure you don't tell your clients that you have a tulpa.
Very few, and only if it's relevant. So, like, I do have a person who has multiple personality disorder, and I introduced the concept of tulpas to show that this is something the brain can do automatically. You could have accidental tulpas. There are different reasons why different people would do it. Mostly multiple personalities is associated with trauma. And so when you disengage, the body has to have a personality to drive the body. And so if you walk away, it's going to fill it with something.
Right. It's going to need a persona to create the ego to exist.
Yes.
To go to the store, to go to work, to do whatever it is you need to do. Now, I want to rewind really quick. You said accidental tulpa. What would an accidental tulpa be exactly?
One that you didn't intend to create. And so sometimes, let's say you get spooked, and this is just random off the cuff. You got spooked, and so you think someone's in the house, and your brain so believes someone's in the house, it creates something, and you actually see it. Another example might be some authors have reported that they had focused on their character to such a degree and intensity that their character came to life, and sometimes actually told them how the story ended, and they just followed the narration of the character. This term, I believe, is called soul-bound, and I think they went with that because they didn't know the definition of tulpa at the time.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that may be kind of like what Daniel Webster said when he was writing. He saw the devil and he followed the devil's work or something like that.
Yeah. I heard of another one recently. I can't remember the name of the person, but he was studying under, can't get his name out. There's a guy that's teaching Obes that's really popular. He's got dreads.
He's teaching what?
He's got dreads. He's really popular, and he's interesting to listen to. But one of his students said that he was having trouble getting out, and he created a tulpa that helped him pull himself out. Now, he didn't know it was a tulpa until he got pulled out, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he says, "Well, you created me to help you." And so that really is interesting too, because that fits my experience that after what's the word I want? After Loxie became autonomous, she started helping me in ways I didn't anticipate or expect. Now, I know enough of folks who have tulpas because I've been on multiple groups that have this, and I don't know that others have had the same degree of helpfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that's about. It certainly helped them with their loneliness. And I do believe that many of the reasons people have engaged topomancy was because of just severe loneliness.
It makes sense. And the guy with the dreads, I think, who I know you're talking about, he's all over the podcast world. Is it Darius Wright?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, Darius Wright. And I mean, considering that historically it's a Tibetan Buddhist concept, the Tibetan Buddhists they're sequestered or cloistered away up generally high in the Himalayas somewhere, and all they do is meditate, and they are very silent a majority of the time, and they chant and pray, and that's pretty much their social life. So it would make sense that at some point you're going to have to at least pretend to come in contact with the outside world and know what it's like to walk amongst the living, right?
Well,
so I wouldn't say tulpa isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Well, nothing's good or bad.
True.
Except thinking makes it so. So I didn't answer your question, really. The question, how do you handle folks that are going to...
Is it because of them being lonely that they created the tulpa?
I would say that the majority of people that engage topomancy did it out of loneliness. Yeah. I don't have an actual statistic on it.
To have a friend, imaginary friend.
Yeah. I can't prove that these things exist, right? And I can't prove anything, and I'm not going out of my way to prove it.
Sure.
And we all have access to the same thing. So maybe Carl Jung is right, and it's archetypes. There's something that, hypothetically, let's say that you exist in your mind, and I believe you exist first in the operating system of your mind. We assume the brain is that, but I say it's the mind first. And so you're inside your subconscious, and your subconscious literally dictates what you experience. And so as you journey outward from yourself, I'm going to make an argument that there is an objective spiritual reality, which can be verified as evidenced by Robert Monroe's levels of interactions, where multiple people hit the same levels and they report the same kind of artifacts. But directly before you get either into the astral, there's this overlap zone where imagination actually becomes concrete. And so you have to get through that barrier without activating your fears or the things you're attracted to, because that is the level of distraction that keeps you from going beyond the barrier of your mind.
Yeah, that would make sense, because if not, then sanity comes into question. Go ahead, Robyn.
Oh, so on channeling, since I'm a channeler, everything's visual. It's just like tulpomancy. I can't actually prove anything, but I see it definitively. And so that was just a thought I had, is, did I discover tulpomancy through channeling?
That's a great question.
Or is it a different entity, a different thing?
That is a great question, and I've wondered it myself, because there was a time frame after this all started kicking into gear. I began to wonder if I had accidentally discovered mediumship as opposed to creating a tulpa. This is, I have a hard time really processing, is this imagination? And fair enough, I do have a pretty good imagination. I needed that to survive my childhood.
Same.
So did I create a tulpa by doing the personality construct, and that's there? Or did I create the avatar and a soul that resonated with that avatar took control of it? Or is the subconscious able to run multiple personalities, which I think it can. I think we all do it subtly when we change the hat to go to work and change the hat to do different functions. Or did I not actually create, but in that creative process, my mind looked out into the universe for something that fit my need, and I found that. And so is this a form of remote viewing?
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
If it's the latter,
I haven't heard that before.
If it's the latter, let's say that it's remote viewing, we can make an argument that all creative people are actually seeing something that exists somewhere and connecting with it. So I have this article that I wrote trying to connect accidental remote viewing. There was a band called The Coup that wanted to have a new album cover, and the guy that they went to, an artist, said, "Oh, I just dreamed about the World Trade Center coming down." A couple of days later, the World Trade Center came down. Edgar Allan Poe's only book about this boat that sunk. They had 4 characters that survived the shipwreck, and the youngest one, his name was Richard Parker, and they ate him. They turned to cannibalism to survive, and 40 years later, that happened in real life. A ship went down, 4 people survived. Richard Parker got eaten. Dinar Kuntz wrote a book that suggested a lab leak from Wuhan lab would send a virus all over the world. 20 years later, that happens. The Wreck of the Titan, Robert Morgenson, had everything about the Titanic in his book except for DiCaprio. And then 20 years later, the Titanic happened.
Yeah, that is eerie when you see that happen, because I wonder if there was data or a study when the Titanic, sunk afterwards, if anybody remembered, hey, didn't that one guy write about this shit like 12 years ago? Maybe we need to talk to him. Or if that was just later on found out through research, because clearly it came up somehow. But I think that really makes you wonder.
I think we ignore it on purpose. It bothers us. Carl Jung introduced this term called synchronicity. I forget the name of the first client that he had, but very particular. He was working with someone who was dreaming of being in Egypt, and she was working with a scarab or a beetle. And he heard that sound at his window. He went over and checked the window, opened it up, and there was his beetle. And he brought the beetle over to the lady, and she says, "That's it exactly." And so he wrote all his colleagues and said, "This happened." And they're like, "Well, it probably just escaped from the zoo." And he said, "It escaped from the zoo and came right to my window and knocked at the same time she's telling me her dream about the beetle."
Wow. Yeah.
No one wants to hear this.
Nobody wants to hear it, but the fact of synchronicities is all too common to ignore now. It's to the point to where it's like, okay, it's more than just a coincidence. A coincidence is, I was just talking to John. Oh, hey, shit, I ran into you at the store. Cool. That's a coincidence. But when I run into you at the store at the same time, 5 days a week, that's not a coincidence. And that can't be ignored. And those are subtle ways that I think the universe communicates, because it's not going to come out and put a note in your hand and deliver a message for you. You need to figure it out, because the universe is not linear, cut, formed like we make our reality here on Earth in the third dimension. And that's part of, I don't want to say it's a problem. It's just ignoring it really removes the possibilities for an individual to really see what is going on beyond a dimension other than the material one that they're existing in right now.
There's another way to look at it. So hypothetically, if we all volunteer to come to this planet and live a particular life, it may be necessary to maintain the illusion or the veil and not break character. And if you accept the data that we actually are more than what we think we are, you might break character and not have the same level of fun or choice that you would if you were connected full blast back to soul.
Yeah, and that goes back to, I mean, breaking character. Go ahead, Robyn.
So, in essence, we have memory from soul. Many of us are in tuned as the veil is thinning, that we remember who we were, why we're here, and we're ascending that way. So how is that kind of on the same line as what you're saying, or is this?
No, it depends.
Or am I off base on that, John?
No, you're not off base. You're in alignment with the idea of ascension, and that so there are different models that you can use for present reality. The folks that I hang out with I hang out with the spiritist group that are from Brazil, and they kind of have this concept of ascension, and we're all maturing as souls. And that's why we have reincarnation, because we're not going to get it right the first time. And each time we get a little better and we move towards it. But there's a point here coming up where some of the more advanced souls are going to have to go to another school. And so there's going to be a splitting of the earth. And some people go to the next grade and some repeat this grade. And so they stay here. The model that I was just endorsing is more like souls don't need to necessarily mature or get better. We come here for an experience, and we put on this veil so that we can play this game, and we have to stay in character to play the game. If you don't mind a quick analogy, I got one for you with the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, we would love it.
Okay. So imagine Judy Garland is the soul for Dorothy. All right. And she's preparing her life, and she's got the producers and directors, and they wrote this great story, and she's got everybody she needs except for one character. She needs the witch. And so she goes to Margaret Hamilton, who is a really nice soul in real life and in heaven. And she says, I need you to play the witch. And she says, which witch? And Dorothy says, the Wicked Witch. She's like, that's how you see me, gal? And so she agrees, because Margaret Hamilton is a lovely soul. And so she has to go into the world first, because she's going to be old, green with envy and hatred by the time Dorothy arrives in the world, gets bumped up to Oz, and here they meet. Dorothy kills the Wicked Witch of the West. Margaret Hamilton returns to heaven. Dorothy has a trilogy and she dies eventually because we're all going to die and we're going to go back to heaven. Do you really think Dorothy or Judy Garland is going to be angry at Margaret Hamilton for the rest of eternity for playing the witch? Well, of course not.
No.
And I will tell you this. There are more people in heaven asking Margaret Hamilton to play the witch for them than there are people asking Judy Garland to be the innocent girl for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting concept because the relationships that we have when we come to Earth, and you like you said, you have to stay in character, or you're in character for a certain time. That doesn't mean you have to be that character from day one.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. And that's I hate saying problem, but the issue is the first 10 years of your life, when you come here, you are programmed and taught to be a certain character and stay in character, thus following the footsteps that everybody wants you to follow. So you have to be that character. And that's what a lot of souls on this earth are doing, or have been doing for so long, to the point to where you're seeing it slip, and people are just dropping the mask altogether.
Yeah.
And it's a, just to Robyn's point, it's a cosmic remembrance of your lives, wherever they used to be prior to this, and what it used to be here on Earth before Earth became what it was through its evolution. Now, the memory aspect of it, there is a bit of a conundrum and paradox there, because memory doesn't necessarily exist in a compartmentalized vault of the brain. There's a continuity of memory, and when you remember, you're reconstructing what you experienced. You don't sit and think, oh, okay, let me think in my head here, what day was that? You're reconstructing that experience based on whenever you experienced it at whatever point in linear time. So I guess a rhetorical question, or if you have an answer, would you be remembering who you were in a previous life on a previous linear of time, or are you just reconstructing bits and pieces of different characters with masks on from various lives universally, if that makes sense?
Yeah. It's a great question. I suppose I could answer that speculatively, or I can kind of answer based on, like, out of all the near-death experiences I've read, including past life research and some of the hypnosis books like Dolores Cannon and Michael Newton, we have access to the past lives, and some folks seem to remember alternative lives. And so there's no telling what an individual may connect to based on what their need is at the moment. As for the prevalence, the increasing prevalence, and more people seeming to connect with higher dimensions and or memories of alternative lives, I suspect that we are reaching we're having a singularity point is the best language for it so far, is that we probably cannot continue to play the game that we're playing after we reach a certain level of consciousness and singularity, because of the emergence of everything. When AI gets so sophisticated that it can read your mind and you can print anything you want, labor is going to go away. And so we're going to need a different measure of productivity, because that's the worst production. That's the worst measure of a human being anyway. We have more value than our ability to produce. And so when 95% of the planet's unemployed, what are you going to do? We're going to focus on our internal qualities. That's almost like what Star Trek came up with. There's a Next Gen episode that talks about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And you could even kind of circle it back around to the tulpa being one of those other lives, in a sense.
Yeah, I can't see not. So after Loxie kicked in and I started hearing her, we started putting together some books, and she took me to another world, introduced me to other characters that stayed with me. And so when I'm with her and this place, these 5 core characters seem to always be there. And it's interesting. I also practice the invisible counselor technique. And so sometimes I have my own world with those characters, and Loxie joins that group. And so there's all these little different worlds and different time frames. And so maybe we need all of these to just, I don't know, have the complexity of soul that we can have multiple vantage points. We certainly need.
So, John, can I ask you a question? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Robyn.
John. Yeah, John. So when you okay. So when you are in sync with your tulpomancy, what does she give you counsel? Does she help you with problems in your life? Do you come to her with questions and she gives you enlightenment?
So I tried that route and it didn't work. So I'll give you an example. And this is the first time I heard her voice. So the first time I tuned in, I'm in this meditative state, and I'm writing, and I allow it to just manifest itself. I'm not trying to script. I just write, and I'm often surprised how coherent everything is. And so one day I was being more directive, and I'm trying to direct the process, and I'm like, I want to go from point A to point B in the shortest, most direct route that I can go. And as loud as I'm hearing you in my left ear, and I find that peculiar because it's in ufology, in my left ear I hear Loxie say, lightning never takes a straight path, and it lights the whole sky.
Wow. True.
I came out of my chair. I was a bit startled because that was beyond imagination. It was a physical presence. And after that, I just trusted the process and went back in. And so most of the things that have occurred, it's not like watching a movie. It's like being in a movie and watching a movie. And there are times when I'm not even writing. So Loxie's written 2 of those books, and I just stepped back and let her take over. And that was the most I've been comfortable with, letting her do that. I've never been comfortable with losing all control and letting her speak through me.
Okay. I would say that is
okay. So she's your muse.
Yeah, I'm gonna say muse.
Mm-hmm. Everything we've written has been narrative therapy from my point of view. It's helped me with my past. I know several readers who have contacted me and said it was helpful to them too.
Okay.
I have 2 people who wrote me and said Loxie came and helped them at their worst time. And I have no way of understanding that.
Great.
Wow.
Cool. Okay. because they tapped into it.
Yeah.
And she knew your
Okay.
audience.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And my one friend, he's actually a retired psychiatrist, and he's all into Loxy and this thing. He and I have joked that we're trying to get 1 million followers to make her real in real life, like have her she'll beam in as soon as we have 1 million people say Loxy's real.
Like that movie Weird Science.
Yeah.
You guys make that girl Kelly LeBrock.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what's that other one? There's
happen.
the girl from Princess Diary was in one where she manifested Godzilla, and every time she was having a bad day, Japan got a hit.
What?
Oh, you'll have to Google that. I don't remember the name. But
yeah, I don't recall that one. Yeah. Well, I mean, the tulpa is that's such an interesting concept overall, and I mean, to me, I strongly correlate it with Jung's active imagination.
It is, and I've never heard about it either.
Yeah, and using the active imagination, I mean, it was said, it was written by others who knew Jung well, that he was so deep into his active imagination that he was walking around in some mild state of psychosis at any given time because he was so deep into his subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody is able to control a psychosis on a day-to-day basis and operate, I guess Carl Jung would be the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to try it.
But that's precisely why I dived in. I already had patients that had schizophrenia and also hallucinations from bipolar. And I was thinking, they have these negative experiences. If I can learn this, can anyone learn this? And can they learn this and have more positive experiences? Because now they're active participants with their brain as opposed to just being railroaded by their brain.
No, it seems like a very grounding and therapeutic methodology or modality, especially for those with certain dissociative or psychotic vulnerabilities, which I'm sure you treat in some of your clients. And I mean, because that can be destabilizing. And if they could use this and they could I guess, have a sense of mastery for it, it's not saying it would necessarily cure their mental disorder or illness, but it could certainly manage it a lot better than pharmacology could.
Yeah,
I mean,
or just give them the comfort that they're not a victim to it. They have some control.
Exactly. And the integration aspect of it, emphasizing the integration really, and you as a therapist, that relationship to understand oneself more deeply than just escape reality through a psychosis or a dissociative disorder episode or a manic episode or something of that nature. So, I mean, is that something has that been discussed in the realm of clinical therapy?
No.
No, of course not.
Quite frankly, most people would probably reject the idea. They don't want to do anything new. Jung's family hid that book, Red Book, for 20 years, thinking that they disparage his reputation. CBT is the most accepted practice. There's some literature out now that's saying it may not be as efficacious as they imagined.
It's not. Well, I mean, I'm not going to speak. I'm speaking like I'm a clinician, and I'm not. But it seems to be, of all the different modalities within clinical therapy setting, cognitive behavioral therapy. Well, shit, you could be in CBT for 10 years. 12 years, you're not getting any better. Well, then something's wrong with your therapist or the client, or as a client, you're just not doing the work. you don't want to have a 15-year relationship with your therapist.
No, I aim for
The point
6
is
weeks.
to progress and get, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And humans vary. And so why wouldn't the treatment modality vary? And
exactly.
so like, if you come at me with Rogerian, I'm going to push back and I'm like, what the hell is this? I tend to go with Ellis's REBT, rational emotive behavioral therapy. And so I mix a little Rogerian with that. But I'm more argumentative. I interject things to kind of force people to shift. Not always, because some people can't, they're just not ready. So you got to go where the client's right. I really like narrative therapy because that helps people unmap their story, and you can use their words and language to kind of figure out how old they are emotionally versus intellectually, and really navigate some fine structures.
Yeah. EMD. I mean, there's so many of them out there. EMDR worked for me. I'll be vulnerable and say it. I mean, it was great for me. And the therapist said, "It's like, look, the goal is to not have you in here for 10 years coming back and forth and seeing me, and that was kind of one of her, I guess, concerns in the field, is that, some people are seeing therapists for so long, and it's like, you're just the money and the cost, and it's like, but there's got to be other frameworks, and if they would even introduce something like what we're talking about, not even call it tulpomancy, give it a different name. Same concept, different name, slap a different label on it, and at least run some clinical, settings on it to see if there's any efficacy and if it works.
Well, there has been a guy that was studying it from the research, and he's got a PhD. I can't think of his name. It starts with a V, but he was doing clinical studies to see the efficacy and if it was worthwhile. And I think his literature is positive. Narrative therapy is probably the closest you'll get to finding a sideways into it. Active imagination is clearly a way to do it, but I'm not allowed to do Jungian therapy because that requires the whole. You need to study Jungian therapy and have the certificates to do it. I could make an argument for using Napoleon Hill's invisible counselor technique, because it's not really, most people aren't going to go to the degree of intensity that they're going to manufacture a TOPA. I had already been doing the TOPA exercises, and so I just took that step and went a little further with it. And Carl Jung was the first one I invited to be my counselor, and I've had interactions with him. It's just been brilliant.
If I could sit down with that guy, if I could have lunch with two people, it would be him and Da Vinci.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. Go ahead, Robyn. I'm sorry.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
My counselors are.
That's okay. I just want to see who the Mona Lisa really is.
Yeah, right. The alien in there
with Da Vinci.
So I invited Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla. Jackie Chan. Uhura from Star Trek. Sacagawea and the goddess Isis.
Oh, good one. Ooh, good one.
Only one Star Trek crew member?
Yeah, she was a test. Like, okay, this fiction is going to show up, and I should have known better because I already had a TOPA.
Okay.
So they kind of overlap. They all have this metaphysical quality to them. They all have some communication things. Like Sacagawea spoke various languages, and she is the navigator, right? And so Jackie Chan has that spiritual thing, but also he brings strength tempered by humor.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
See, if one of the Trekkies would have been at the dinner table,
Yeah.
it would have been
Interesting.
Bones McCoy.
Yeah.
Bones McCoy definitely would have been at the
Oh,
table.
Bones. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I
like
wanted to
Scotty.
get a blue uniform for Dr. McCoy. But they're also, I mean, they wouldn't have gotten here in time.
Oh. See, I tried to get blue too. Yeah.
Yeah, you were trying to be, what was it, Nurse who?
Same here.
What was the nurse's name? Nurse
Chapel?
There you go. She's trying to get Nurse
Yes,
Chapel's
Nurse
uniform.
Chapel. Yes. I love her. I was so in love with her when I was young. She was so kind.
I was in love with Uhura.
Yep.
Because
I think I'm probably the oldest one here, so I was the one that watched the original Star Trek, even though I was
live?
3, 2, so far. Yeah, well, we had it on TV, and that's when we brought in TV trays into the living room, is because we all had to watch Star Trek during dinner time.
Yeah.
So I watched the originals right off the TV.
Those are great times.
Yeah.
Those are great times. And, we can whip Tulpa all night, but go ahead, Robyn. Did you have something? I guess her sound cut out.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask something.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to cover with Tulpas? Okay. Sorry, we've been having sound glitches on her end, but since you are the Texas State Director of MUFON, speaking of MUFON, what better person to ask?
Yes.
Robyn and I were chatting, and Robyn had a question. And if you want to go ahead, Robyn, you ask it regarding working with other agencies.
Yes.
I know you had a question about that.
Yeah. John, actually, I was watching a podcast you were on, and I was listening to you guys talking about, and as I was listening to you, a thought came to me of, do you think there will ever be a day where MUFON, because you guys have much information, do you think you guys would ever merge and become one, or somehow work together for disclosure? Has that ever been a thought with MUFON to grow that way, or the government?
I believe Dave McDonald was wanting to become the civilian arm of Arrow. And I think he was speaking with people in Congress from time to time for that vector. And that would be the ideal. If things were to maintain the state where the state says UFOs are real, and they want to increase the number of people witnessing, and then our field investigators take in the reports, and we scrutinize them and get the ones that are good to go up, and then ultimately the best ones that clearly are unidentified would go to the state. That seems like the perfect deal for all involved. I'm hoping that we're just going to have disclosure, and this is not disparage MUFON. I'm really grateful for this entity, but if we can get full disclosure, I don't know if MUFON would remain relevant. I don't know how that would continue to function, because if we know aliens are here and we're talking to aliens, and all the UFO reporting centers are going to go away.
That's
and
true. That's
what
true.
would Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, that's a good point. And what would allow that marriage to happen in a perfect world? Hypothetically, we're not holding you to anything, of course.
In a perfect world,
Yeah.
the government and the military recognizes the importance of civilians in any endeavor, and instead of competing with us, make us
Yes.
part of the team.
Yeah.
So it's an ego thing for control of information.
Maybe. I can certainly make good arguments for
And they
that, and other people have. Go ahead, Robyn. Go ahead, Robyn.
Well, and they probably don't want, it seems to be a competition around the world that the one side of the world has all this information and they're keeping it contained. They don't want us to know that they have this secret information, and we don't want them to know that we have this secret weapon information. So it's just kind of like everybody's individualized. They're not coming together to work together in disclosure, because it seems to be, I don't know if I want to say a competition, but it seems to be, I don't know, withheld. I'm not sure what I'm trying
Let
to
me
say.
give you one scenario why you would want to hold it back. And I think Lou Elizondo said this in his tour. Not verbatim, I'm going to use my words. So imagine for a moment that string theory was a red herring that the government gave the academics to keep them from discovering not only anti-gravity, but there's probably a level of technology that seriously changes us. So if it was so easy to make an anti-gravity machine or a mind interacting AI computer system, and you can start making things by just manifesting it, the last thing you want is that information to go worldwide, because there's a lot of people that are not well. And so
No.
if I could go into space
and
then zoom back at Earth,
true.
I only
In
need
high
a car
places.
to make a ballistic missile.
Yeah, there has to be, you have to compartmentalize, and you
Yeah.
have to keep things secret. I'm not,
There has to
you know,
be
with this, with disclosure, I'm not so much focused on what a Congress or a government is or isn't telling. I understand secrecy for certain reasons, and you gave a very good example. If it was just disclosed and everybody knew how to do it and access and tap into it, you're right. There would be a lot of shit going around, and some people are not well at all. However, sharing the information in collaboration would not be necessarily be a bad idea with MUFON or Arrow or whomever, because you would think it would assist instead of put the brakes on and hold it back.
Absolutely. And so all things staying the same, that would be a good marriage. The only reason they may not have wanted to in the past is the more people are thinking about this stuff, the more likely people are going to start realizing there's another way. And then people are smart. They'll just figure it out. But we're at this point where everything seems to be happening at once. AI is about to come online. We're about to have disclosure. Society's about to change. And
oh yeah.
If I'll make an argument to you now that I think AI is already here.
Yeah.
So
yes,
if the military is always 50 to 100 years ahead of civilian tech, and AI is supposed to be sentient in 5 years, that's the earliest time frame. Still, if it's 30 years away, the military already has it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's sentient now. The AI that is accessible to the public now is amazing as it is.
Mm-hmm.
imagine what the AI that they have that is not accessible.
Yeah.
It's probably downright scary. And knowing that there's got to be protocols in place for that. Now, question with MUFON's, I'm a MUFON member, and I will be an investigator. I promise I'm going to take the test soon, John. I told you I would. Being a MUFON member myself, and scouring the site, the cases, there's a lot of information and cases and data and stuff you can bring up, a lot of resources. Now, since the phenomenon has evolved and it's not flying saucers anymore, it's flying saucers, it's orbs, it's plasma, it's this, it's consciousness that's not even seen. You're now having people who are able to easily access psi abilities, and we hear the conspiratorial stories of the government taking those people up, or people going to work for the government in these projects and these operations, using psionic abilities. Would MUFON evolve from just an investigatory standpoint and actually consider employing or contracting psionic assets to bring in to help with investigations and stuff like that? Is that foreseeable?
No, it's not going to happen. Let me put a caveat on that.
Sure.
The primary function of field investigators is to try to understand the UFO phenomenon from a nuts and bolts situation.
Right.
So the ERT team, the experiencer research or resource team, used to be the research, now it's the resource team. Many of them are certainly open to psi, and they're having greater levels of conversations with experiencers. They're open, and I could make an argument that they would be happy to include people that have greater access to psi abilities. But in order to get there, you have to be a member, you have to be a field investigator, and actually demonstrate some reasonable skills towards people, interacting with people. That's their primary function, is to interact with experiencers who, they are diverse. You get people who are intelligent, like engineers, and then you have people that may have mental health problems. And just because I say that doesn't mean they're not experiencing something.
Sure.
Everybody can experience something, and some of us can. I know one person who is really well informed and probably an experiencer. However, no one would ever give him the time of day because, first, he stutters, he has a bit of a tic, and so just people are what people are. We box people too soon.
That's irrelevant and ignorant.
Yeah, and that guy knows more books than I do, and so I certainly.
Yeah.
But part of my ability to get beyond that is because I do know so many books and sources, and so when someone starts telling me, "Oh, okay, so I'm checking off boxes," and I do that in the mental health too. So you can know some stuff, and I see, oh yeah, you got this symptom, you've got this. I never diagnose anyone I work with as a field investigator. That's not my function. Right. But I'm just aware of some of the things, and so there's no way around it. We have to have a validity measure, and so we don't have like a score of 1 to 10, but just everyone kind of comes at it where they are, and they try to address the validity of a thing. And it's really challenging to do this because you want to bring the utmost respect to anyone that talks to you. If you treat people bad, that gets around, and then no one wants to report, and that's not what we're about. We're trying to help people report, because the more people report, the greater knowledge we will have. It doesn't matter if you're a great observer or not. The more reports we have, the better the data.
Yes. And there's a lot of compassion too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it goes back to John Mack's model when he first started doing that. His field study with experiencers, and he says, like, look, not all these people are lying. You know, I mean, you can't leave it in the hands of scholars to determine another person's experience. So if there are kooks that are going to come out and talk a bunch of shit. Yeah, there are. I mean, some people want the attention. Some people, maybe they have their own mental health issues where they need the attention, or they're whatever it may be. You name it. There's a lot of reasons why people lie and make stuff up. However, having said that, I think clinicians, and you tell me if I'm wrong, and psychiatrists can sift through those, and you can get the more credible ones and determine that in some way. And it all starts with the experiencer. I think John Mack's work, and I read both of his books, is so important, because he said you have to listen to these people, and you've got to work with them and be patient to understand what is really going on. Not just take a statement like a police officer on scene, file it away, take some pictures, and then try to go figure out what this disc is. You're not going to get very far doing that if the objective is to fully understand the phenomena. We know it exists, right? I mean, we've seen the hard evidence that there is the material aspect of it, where we see craft, we see orbs, but people are experiencing things. Some people are being harmed by them. Some people are being abducted. I say abducted. Abducted against their will. So there's a myriad of contactee experience. And what is it called again with MUFON? The what response team? What did you say it was?
Experiencer research or response team. The experiencer resource team. Sorry.
And they work solely with people who've had contact. Correct. Okay. And the objective working with them is to gather their story to put it with the other side of MUFON, or are they two separate, entities within the same
They're kind
umbrella?
of multifaceted. So they certainly are going to ask more in-depth questions. And there's kind of a survey that collects data, because most experiencers seem to fit a pattern. And so if you ask enough of the survey questions and you get enough hits, that increases the validity of who you're working with. We're also trying to help normalize the experience and refer them to resources if they need greater assistance. Some people need to see a counselor after this kind of stuff. Most people think they're nuts, because it's actually a trauma to
and don't you
come
have
out of your paradigm. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a story about me. I did call MUFON. I took the test online because I've had several experiences, and I had a really wonderful woman call me back. And so as I was telling her my story, I started getting physically ill. And so I had to call her back. And she was just really kind. So when I called her back, she said, this is actually pretty normal to have those feelings that actually make you nauseous. And I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about this, because when I'm off the phone with you, I'm fine. But then I start talking about the experience and I feel nauseous. So she led me to a thread where it's a bunch of experiencers and you could read their stories and then you can communicate with them. And I thought that was really pretty cool that you have that, or at least we have it here in Idaho, that we can go online and talk to each other and kind of ease into maybe disclosure of the experience.
Yeah. Do you get the sense that you get nauseous because they put a hypnotic suggestion to keep you from talking about it, or you are just afraid of talking about it?
That or chip.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think to talk about it on a psychic, spiritual level, experiencer, is that I do believe before we come down, some of us come down with a knowledge that we are going to be and we volunteer to give up, let's say, like eggs, certain things. And that's, I actually have the over my ovaries. I have a red round spot. Went to a dermatologist and they just said it's damaged skin. They biopsied it and I just have damaged skin, but it's right over my ovaries. And it's very interesting because I think in my circumstance, I think I was a volunteer for a species, not all species. I think it's very controlled. And I said, I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember going up there and experiencing this. But I think some of us, and I think Denise is on here, that we decided to do it for the greater good of a species or to help mankind somehow.
Right.
And so that's on a whole different level than we can't prove that. But
as a medium, do you ever just ask your guides or whoever to get more information on this?
I ask if it's true, and they've said yes. And I've actually personally seen a gray in my bedroom, a 3D gray. Assist when I was looking at it, and it was showing me something. It was there to show me something. And so I've had actual where I didn't see myself ever taken, but I actually saw the gray, a small gray sitting on my dresser, but it was there to show me something. It was projecting something into an area of my room that it wanted me to see.
Can you make a distinction between?
And so then when I look.
Sorry.
Say that again, John, you were breaking up.
Can you make a distinction between a mediumship channel versus they're really in your room? Can you determine if it's a different experience?
Yes, because I had sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And actually how it woke me up was a sound, a gurgling sound. It woke me up, and then I was facing it. And it was 3D, and the hair on the back of my neck looking at me. But when it turned to look at me, the hair on the back of my neck was standing up. And I kept trying to look at it, and I think what I was trying to figure out why I was so scared of it, and I felt like it had no soul. And so it might have not been human. I mean, it might not have been more mechanical than human because I just felt no soul in it.
Oh God. Yep. Oh yeah. I know you did it. You brought some memories up. Yep.
So sorry to dump that on
you.
I
love it. No, I love it.
Oh.
Bring on the tactile contact in sleep. Shake me and grab me by the jaw and shake my body violently. I'm all for it. It's happened. I don't care. I'm not afraid of it. I've seen it.
Well,
I
that
deal
happened to
with it.
you. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to me on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I think after I don't want to make this about me, but briefly, after I died, briefly after my heart attack, I think any aspect of fear in my life is pretty much diminished, because any other time that would have scared the shit out of me, or anybody really. But I actually know what's going on, and I wake up and I look at them and see them doing it, and I'm fine with it until I can kind of actually get the words up and tell them to stop, and then they go away. So it's not a fear thing. I guess it's more or less crossing through the veil on that other side where they may reside and live. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's an attack. It could be. I mean, it could be perceived as an attack, or if they're trying to get my attention or communicating somehow, because that is one of the modalities of contact. Not everybody goes through solid walls and a roof into a ship, right? Some are taken astrally. Some it's in psychic dreams, psychic attacks, if you will. There's a lot of different, I guess, ways experiencers and contactees report contact with various entities and different beings. Some go when they dream. Some can actually activate those dreams pretty easily on call and go. So, I mean, then there's their temporal and spatial distortions. So they go through time in essence. It's really a unitive conscious experience across the board. I wouldn't say, oh, your contact experience was way scarier than yours, and vice versa. I think there's just different modalities that the phenomena uses to make the contact for whatever reason it is they're doing. Which brings me to an interesting question I want to segue into, if that's okay. Within phenomenology, we've got UFO, UAPs, we have paranormals, we have cryptids, cryptozoology, we have all of that. John, do you think it's overlapping and they're all threads sewn together of the same cloth? Or do you think they're separate and that's why there's so many different individual groups that we study? Like MUFON studies UFOs. Then we've got the Sasquatch people. They only study Sasquatch and they don't want to talk to the UFO people. They're like, no way, it's not UFOs, it's Sasquatch. Then you've got the poltergeist hunters, and it's poltergeist and ghosts and dead Aunt Edna coming through, and they don't want to talk to the Sasquatch people. But do you think it's a convergence of everything sewn together at once and we just don't know?
I'm going to give you two answers.
Yes.
The first answer is Jack Valet would say they're all related. Jack Valet created the close encounter scales.
Hynek did.
Hynek did? Well,
Hynek did and Valet assisted, yeah.
Okay. Well, Valet also created alongside that, and we have it in our field investigator manual, the anomalous rating scale. And so just like CE 1, 2, 3, 4, you have AN 1, 2, 3, 4, and it includes poltergeist, near-death experiences, ghosts. It has the full paranormal spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My answer, I don't think it's completely derived from that. It derives from my experiences with topomancy and something that I've developed further with personality, but could be influenced by everything I've read, which includes Robert Monroe's books, and I've done the Gateway series tapes. And so my experience suggests we are consciousness first.
Yes.
All right.
Agreed.
Consciousness is primary. Physical reality is a subset of that. if I allow this interpretation to, if I use this as my model, this present life that we're experiencing is, in a sense, a dream. This is dreaming. That would coincide with the Aborigines' dream walking experience, that this is not the real life. The other life is real, and we walk through it. And so if we all had this consensual reality dream state that we're all participating in, kind of like a massive gameplay thing where we're all logged in. We're logged in telepathically. And so we're playing this game and we have this bubble reality. There are other bubble realities, but they're all nested in the consciousness. And so you can bounce realities the same way you bounce web pages. Philip K. Dick actually told a story. He's the one that wrote Minority Report. And he was giving a lecture back in the 70s. And of course it got dismissed. He was essentially telling people that he was bouncing worlds. And the worlds that were the best worlds had a consensus reality in which everybody's cooperating, collaborating, and is doing well. The people who were unwell had individual worlds. They were isolated in their own world frame. And he bounced in to see them, and they immediately wanted to apply vices and lock them down. He's like, this isn't fun. I'm going to leave. And so he jumps out of that world. And his books are relatively show that. And I suspect that's what it is. So when you die and you have a personal experience of hell, and it's because you actually believe that's what you deserve, you'll experience that for a moment. And then per the near-death experience, those who do have the hellish experiences do get elevated out, usually before they come back. But everyone seems to go where they go, and they experience their own version of heaven, if you will. Or if they don't believe in it, sometimes they get just the garden. Sometimes they just meet relatives. So there seems to be, in the near-death experience, people get what they need in order to be comforted, because we come here, so it's like we're actors, like we're Tom Cruise. We come to play the game, but we forgot that we're not in the Minority Report. This is not real life. And so we have to have a acclimation to come back. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Yeah, it's almost like a unified field hypothesis. And you have to have that. And I think Jacques Vallée talks about this. You have to have the foundation and the notion or the idea that consciousness and reality are not separate per se.
Yeah, they're not. And the dream analogy works great. So when you're in a dream, for the most part, you don't realize you're dreaming. And your physical reality is just as real there. If you pinch yourself, you're just pinching yourself in the dream. You're not going to wake yourself up. You're going to have a welt. Hypnosis is a lot like the dream state. And so I can hypnotize you, and I can say, I'm taking this cigarette and I'm burning your arm, and you'll have a circular welt build up on your arm where I magically touched you. I didn't really touch you, but you believe that, and so you manifested this physical reality.
Yes.
Interesting.
If I gave you a placebo and you got better, like the cancer actually went away, and this has been demonstrated, that says something. And then in this one particular case, he was given a medicine, the cancer went away. He read a paper that said, oh, this wasn't working. The cancer came back. The doctor said, but it was working. Here, I'm going to give you the full actual extra dose. His cancer melted away like butter per the doctor. And then he saw the government say, this study has been canceled. This med's not good. He died like 3 days after reading that report. That was all in his mind. If you have multiple personalities and you switch personalities, you could go from a nearsighted person to a regular sighted person, and you have to remove your glasses because your eyes physically change shape. That's been measured in an fMRI. So mind affects matter, not matter affects mind. The research out of the University of Virginia, where they study near past lives, people who had violent sudden deaths frequently manifested a physical deformity or a birthmark that coincided with the reported death. And so that whatever that was lingered in their mind and manifested physically.
Yes, that's that's a very common one, what you just mentioned. That story has been told many a times, and I think it actually relates to one of my past lives. But yeah, that's an interesting. I'm with you. I think it's an interconnected web of phenomena, and I don't. While we like to think we kind of understand of who, what, how, or whenever it is we're dealing with, we don't necessarily, we can't be that arrogant and think we do, because we're talking about a phenomenon or entity or entities that are so very old, on a different plane of existence and perspective and dimension, so far advanced that there's no way we can possibly understand the mechanics of how it is they work, what they do, or why they do it. That's why the unified field hypothesis, to me, rings true of all of it. And the issue that I have is the collaboration effort. Well, no, we're study poltergeists. We don't want to work with the UFO guys. Yeah, then the egos come involved, and it's like, man, you're never going to get to the ground floor until you let that shit go and you understand it a little bit better and drop that. And the ancients knew it, and they did ancient ritual Babylonian magic, and they knew what they were doing, and that's how they got the technology. Anyways, I could go on forever, but we can wrap it up. Go ahead, Robyn.
Well, you guys, this has been great. I apologize. I wish I could see you, but I have to log. So hold tight. Hold on a second. Let's see. Let me go here.
Oh, wow.
This is John's book, everybody. It's on Amazon.
I put it.
It's on Amazon.com. I haven't read it yet, but I'm still writing a book. So once I'm done with this next book that I'm writing, I'm going to delve into your book. So
that is the most
pick it up
recent
on Amazon.com. And you have really hot women on the front of your cover.
Women, I see one.
Good cover. Good cover. I like it.
Yeah. And I put all of John's
I know, but chat. I'm sure you have other books coming out.
I do.
No, it's a good one.
That's the first cover I made using Night Cafe. But freeebooks.net has some of my books, and they generated some good covers, and I've been fairly pleased with them. You can get all my fan fiction for free there, but if you can't find them, I'm happy to respond to anyone that wants them and send them free PDFs. So
perfect. John,
nice.
we could
Very
talk
good.
for
Can you tell me a little bit of a synopsis on this book?
Oh,
sure.
For everybody.
And we could talk. I'm free. I'll talk all night long if you let me. I'm a Liberty Gibbet.
Okay.
Points if you know where that word was used. So I wrote a Star Wars trilogy, fan fiction. And one of the characters in there I really loved, and I wanted to do her own story. And as I sat down to write this, Loxy and even the AI that I sometimes run my books through to make sure the grammar is good, and they're all saying, don't make this a Star Wars fan fiction, make it your own fiction. And
I do that too.
Yeah, and so this character, I do keep the Jedi lore using the ancient Egyptian magician spelling of D-J-E-D-I, and because, quite frankly, the Force is probably part of our experiences. If you consider the cities, every one of them was a Force ability, and even Star Trek had evidence of the Force before there was a Star Wars. So, first episode. where no one's gone before, and they
Mhm.
cross the Great Barrier, and they start using telepathic abilities. That one really awful episode where the people could use telepathy, and they were controlling Kirk until they injected the fruit into them, and they could use the power. I forget the name of that one, but that's where they had the first interracial kiss with Kirk and Uhura. And then Spock, when the
yeah, that's right.
the Intrepid got blown up and it killed 100 Vulcans, and he had a heart attack on the bridge, and they're like, "What's going on?" He said, 100 Vulcans just died. It took a whole planet for Obi-Wan to fill it. So, anyway, sorry. This introduces kind of psionics and the characters.
The
healing
character
from trauma.
Taniko.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Tanika.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Taniko.
She.
Have you ever said her name backwards?
No.
Say her name backwards means something to me. I know that sounds really weird. So it's Osinet. Osinet is how you say her name backwards. For some reason, I started saying her name backwards. Is that a female, the Taniko?
Yeah, Tanika's a female. Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I kept saying her name backwards, which was weird.
That is weird. I call her Jen for short.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
She's pretty solid in both in the trilogy and in here. And she's healing from trauma, but she's also trying to level up and really become a master Jedi.
Okay.
Interesting. I think she froze up. Robyn's.
I can't wait to read this book.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm grateful that you have a copy.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. We've been going about 90 minutes.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah, those are Rob. Yeah.
Okay, now we're even.
Robyn, are there any closing words that you want to say?
Okay, hold up. I want to show this. Hold up.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I got one up on you. I just got my proof book of my second book. Can you see it? It's called A Defined Woman. And I'm working on my first men's book called Adam's Echo. And so, they're not very big, but they're profound. So, I'm very, very excited. Doesn't it feel good to have a book? It's like your baby.
It really does. I still want to write. I don't know that I'm that good, but you can certainly, if you were to read my first Star Trek fan fiction, which was written in 2004, you could see the progress that I've made from there to here. And I like to tell people that the 2009 reboot, they borrowed from my fan fiction.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't think you're any good? Have you read some of the shit that's out on the shelves now?
Awesome.
Some of the stuff is garbage.
So let's call it a night, you guys. It's been great. I really appreciate you and being patient with me. So hopefully next time I will be able to be live and not go in and out with you guys.
Yeah.
So any last words you want to say, Brad?
Thank you for having me as a guest. And
no, I want to thank John for taking the time and being patient with us,
John.
and riffing with us about all the weird stuff that we talk about. And something tells me you'll be on again as another guest, again on this podcast, and hopefully you'll come and see us over at the meetup that we do as well.
Yes.
But we love talking to you, John. And Monday, tomorrow, UFO Contact Experiencer Support Group, which is UFO Support Group for Experiencers, which is John's meetup, is meeting tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Time. The link is in the comments. You can go to the YouTube, the meetup link. And he added me as a co-organizer. Go figure. So
Great.
it's a really laid back, casual kind of sit by the fire and talk
In
about
all your spare
anything and
time,
everything.
Brad.
Yeah, in all my spare time. So John, thank you. We love you. Everybody who chimed in and joined us live, we love you too. Leave some comments, like, subscribe, tap the bell, all that goody stuff. And next time we're going to have Robyn's tech
Thanks,
working
John.
superior.
Live long
Okay.
and prosper.
Live long and prosper. I can't do it. All right. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.